Let me praise you some more.
No,
all your books I've read. One of my favorite things in the books is how much humor you have, and in person,
for this
whether speaking or over breakfast.
For this, I will share your cell in Gulag, probably.
Your humor, which is based on insight, right, rather than Henny Youngman type of jokes, is phenomenally good. But here's what strikes me: you have the humor of a right-winger, of a right-wing moderate. So if you think of today's left, it is increasingly humorless. You're not allowed to talk about so many things. On gender, your views are much more right-wing than left-wing.
That's debatable. I don't know
what... The left-wing is moving. When I sit down with my right-wing friends and they joke around, their jokes are in broad terms like yours. Left-wing
my answer to this, not critical of you, it's a very simple one. My answer to this is that's why the politically correct leftists are doing all possible to get Trump re-elected, if you ask me. A little bit more years on this and we will be where we are. But let me add, as a sign of friendship to you, another bad taste humor about you. You are my friend, I like you. So when we communists take over, nonetheless, because you are objectively guilty, you go to Gulag.
Okay.
But as a special favor to you, you know what you got on better days in Gulag, on Saturday? Some kind of disgusting soup, entrails and heads, half-rotten fishes and potato.
Maybe some bread in it.
Don't exaggerate.
Okay.
And I will call from my Moscow center.
Yes.
And isn't it nice? You will get 2 plates of that soup. So
do you agree you have an increasingly right-wing sense of humor, and that if we're going to be
But why do you call it right-wing? When I was young, this was left-wing humor.
Irony. It is no longer left-wing humor. The world has moved on.
Then so much worse for the left.
For the worse. Okay, we're making progress.
Maybe.
You are indeed the moderate right, communist, nostalgia, rump state communist who is maybe almost ready to abandon that final bit of the nostalgia.
Don't count on that too much, because I still think that the crisis will hit us. I see signs. Here comes my pessimism. I think that the situation today with new right-wing, blah, 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 and here, as we already talked about it, I'm very open. For example, do they exist here? Not. We talked about it, so-called incels. Celibataires. Usually they are decried as the worst, women-hating fascists. No, they do something, I think, almost tragic. They try to turn their failure, and already this is politically incorrect to state today. You cannot address a woman, almost it's prohibited, saying she is beautiful. You cannot say to a man, you are non-attractive enough, you cannot get any woman. But that's their experience. And I admire how, without any immanent violence, they turn this into a wonderful performance, especially clown cells and so on. It's a wonderful way to survive a pretty terrifying predicament. And I don't buy that they are automatically neo-fascist and so on. Concerning feminism, and my reproach to Me Too is not they are too radical and so on, but it's an upper middle class fake. They don't really, the American feminism should first do, I hope we agree here, a little bit of a good old-fashioned Stalinist, you will say again, nostalgia, self-criticism. There are so many things of American feminism. Do you know, for example, they supported American invasion of Iraq, that it will help women? Well, we know today that the situation of women today in Iraq is much worse than under Saddam. Saddam was a brutal despot, but relatively secular. Women had today. It's I mean, it's I don't. This is what bothers me. Second problem. You will again say I'm conservative here. Fuck it, I don't care. The problem with political correctness is for me that questions which are questions of not manners in a superficial sense, but of customs. Here I am, as you know, a Hegelian. Hegel always emphasized the basis that holds society together are unwritten rules, customs, and so on. Political correctness tried too much to legalize it, you know. You are allowed to call this name. They try to, for example, let me give you a provocative example, you know it, to provoke you. Once I problematized, how is it called, this idea of consent, even bureaucratic consent. You have to state it on a selfie sign before mutual agreement. And they say, oh, so I think we can rape women, we don't need consent. They totally misread me. On the opposite, I just claim consent in itself is good, better than nothing. But it doesn't solve the problem. There is so much pressure, violence, which can survive the forum of consent. Even if there is a formal consent, sexual exploitation can go on and so on and so on. My problem with LGBT+, as if I'm attacking them. No, the problem I see there, I wonder if you agree, is this one. I have a problem with identity politics. The problem is that the idea of predominant, there are many LGBT+ who are extremely good theorists. Persons. But the predominant view is the one of this one. I simplify it. There is some kind of a multiplicity of gender positions flourishing. It's almost the Maoist version. You know, let the 100 flowers blossom. Let 100 boots, gender, bisex, trisex. And then evil patriarchy comes, imposes the binary division. Let's get rid of these. And some of them even establish a list, 30, 35 positions. My God, and then they say Freud is outdated. If there is anything to learn from Freud, is that sexuality is in itself antagonist, traumatic, shady domains, and so on and so on. That's my first point. So it's as if, what bothers me in LGBT+ is as if we get rid of social pressure, we get some kind of happy sexuality. The first presupposition that I adopt here is because you do what you desire. My God, didn't they read Freud? How do you know that you really desire what you think that you desire? There are all the ambiguities here. My second problem, and that's the theoretical one. Let's move into Hegel a little bit. Maybe you know my line. LGBT+, it's all about plus, no? Because the ordinary LGBT theorists are, for me, two British empiricists. Plus is for them simply, maybe we don't yet know all identities, let's leave it open. You know, like maybe there will be other gender identities, we will include them. No. As I got this, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, from an Australian LGBT theorist, very intelligent lady, who wrote to me, but what if plus itself is a subjective position? You can be a plus in the sense of, you know, at a distance, doubting, and I think this is feminine position at its stronger. I will go to absolutely everyday level. That's why the most provocative woman's answer is, why do you love me? Because there is no answer to this question. The moment you answer it, it's not true love, by definition. If I tell you why I love you, then it becomes matter of, you know, so what I'm saying is that I just try to complicate things.